Hello and welcome. My name is Monthy Dile, and today I'm checking out the Innsmouth Case. I have no idea what this game is gonna be, but it is tagged as a Lovecraftian mystery game, and I believe also a choose your own adventure. I picked this up on Steam, not Keymailer, for once in my life, and it looked interesting, so I'm just going to check out what it offers me. Um, Yeah, it's Lovecraftian, so it's probably gonna be horror. If you're against horror writing, then I recommend clicking off. But please do actually stay on the video. Just mute it and give me that watch time. Now would be very epic. Okay, the foreword. We are fans of a strange world of Innsmouth. We recognize the problematic beliefs of H.P. Lovecraft. The game has been produced by a group of people who believed in inclusion and equality. Robot Pumpkin Games and Assemble Entertainment. Your progress in the story will be saved at the end of each chapter. There are 35 chapters in total. At the end of the chapter, the screen fades to black and green save icon appears in the bottom right of the screen. Okay, like that. We recommend you always end the game after such a save point to make sure none of your progress is lost. If you play a chapter a second time, press escape to skip the text and go into the next decision. Okay. Boston, 21st of September. The last rays of sunshine filter through the blinds of your empty office. A pathetic stench of whiskey, cold cigarette smoke, and canned ravioli fills the air. The screeching tires and constant beeping of car horns out there on the street tell you that it's gone 8 p.m. People are on their way home, finishing their day. You should join them. You decide to stay at your desk, to go home. I am going to stay at my desk. Your day was long and frustrating. You are running out of ideas on how to handle the calls of people who want money from you. A cold shiver runs down your spine as you flick through a pile of unpaid bills. On top of the pile is a reminder from your landlady. You're 2 months behind on the rent. The next one is a 3-figure invoice from a game company for in-app purchase. You try to claim them as business expenses in your last investigation, but somehow your client refused to pay. Then there's a second reminder from your internet provider threatening to cut off your connection. You might take legal action because without the internet you can't work or live. You really need more in-app purchases. Your lawyer, a cigarette, a little fresh air. Let's take some fresh air. You jerk open the blinds. Amongst the dusk, the last rays of light shine into your eyes like a laser sight in a spy flick. It takes a few seconds for your eyes to adjust. Your gaze settles on the horns and hoofs pop across the street. How many simple jobs this dive has given you? Jealous wives whose husbands you had to spy on. All you had to do was lie in wait a window and take pictures of them coming out of the dirtiest hole in town. You close the window before you see anyone you know. You breathe a deep sigh. It may not have been a successful day, but at least it's over. You're looking forward to a classic Friday night, watching old mystery stories at home in sweatpants and getting drunk on cheap booze. Since the early afternoon, you have been staring at a foreboding bottle of liquor at the end of the room. Up until now, a vague sense of professionalism has kept you from drinking yourself into oblivion. Now nothing stands in the way. Suddenly you hear someone at the door. Say, who is it? Don't make a sound. I'm going to answer. The door slowly cracks open with a timid creak. The unknown guest pauses. Then, in a breathy and melodic tone, you hear a woman utter, "Hello?" With inside cramp, you suddenly realize that you haven't cleaned your office at all this year. That is a long time. You quickly try to clean up, invite her in. We're just gonna invite her in. By the light of the desk lamp, you now see more than a silhouette. A breathtaking woman lights up your office. No doubt older than 40, maybe even 50. Not to say, clad in black, skin-tight dress culminating in a décolleté that seems to defy the laws of gravity. A smoky eyeshadow, as dark as algae, washed ashore, blonde, coiffed, wavy hair under a dark beret. The faint light of the setting sun catches in the strands of her hair, and you wonder how many heads this woman must have turned during her prime. She's completely different from your usual customers. Nervous bankers with sweat stains under their armpits, convinced their wives have something going with the mailman. Every move she makes is calculated grace. Smooth as an eel, she walks towards you and sits down on the corner of your desk. Determined, she walks towards you and sits down in the corner of your desk, which is a little bold, which makes you blush. It makes us blush. Let's accept a pretty lady. Which makes you blush. Never before has a visitor parked their derriere so skillfully on the corner of this desk. You hope that the cigarette butt the stranger has just sat on won't leave any difficult stains. The dress looks expensive. When she starts talking, her voice is smoky and full of promise. My name is Dile, Marsh. I'm looking for a private investigator. I was told you are one of the best. She extends her hand. Kiss her hand. You've come to the right place, lady. Decline. Of course I will find you your missing daughter. Let's be gentlemanly. You kiss her hand and waggle your eyebrows in the same manner you've seen so often in those classic movies. This woman moves in a higher circle and is used to luxury. You can tell by the strong smell of caviar she gives off. If you play her right, you might even be able to increase the fee for this case. What now? Keep flirting? Get down to business. Let's do that. It's about my daughter, Tabitha. She has disappeared. You're pulling out paper and pencil. This is gonna be a walk in the park. A walk in the kidnapped kids' park. Well, when did you last see her, and where? The woman puts on a fake smile. We live in Innsmouth. It's a small port town north of Arkham. You frown. This is a bit vague. What's your child doing when you last saw her? What hobbies does she have? Oh, you know, kid stuff. They just run around and play with her yo-yos, that sort of thing. Dahlia nervously combs her hands through her hair. Does your daughter have any friends? Yo-yos? What about her father? What does your daughter look like? Does she have any friends? She might be staying with classmates, sport club members, anything like that. Dahlia silently shakes her head. Very strange. We're about to ask if the girl at least had imaginary friends, but you hold back. Dahlia nervously combs through her hair. Let's ask about the yo-yos. Yo-yos, ring ring. Can you hear that? In the night is calling back and want her outdated toys back. Dahlia blushes. Normally you would find this quite attractive, but in the case of a missing Gopex, you're utterly unconvinced by the way this woman pretends to be a mother. Okay, Jesus. She remains silent. Confront her, let the matter rest. I'm going to confront her. Something's fishy here. You have a nose for this sort of thing. That's why you became a private investigator. Or to be more precise, that's why you took an online detective course that's for an one-off fee. Provided the necessary qualification. It's time to take your visitor to task. You look at her closely. Why did you come to me? Has your daughter really disappeared? Why did you come to me? You get out of your chair. Innsmouth is several miles away from here. Why do you want to hire me? I wouldn't even hire myself. Dahlia crosses her arms. What do you care? Do you want to be paid or not? Right now I just want the truth. Okay, Jesus. You're sticking to your principles, that's exactly what your instructor warned you about. Still, it feels good. Dahlia takes a step back and releases her tightly crossed arms. I already tried loads of other investigators, anyone who seemed trustworthy really, but no luck. That's why I'm coming to you. Ouch. Ask more questions about the case, accept the case, reject the case. Ask more questions. What about her father? What about Tabitha's father? Are you separated? Often children reappear with family members. Dahlia smiles sadly. My little one can't swim well enough for that yet. Your pen remains on the same spot on the notepad. What was that supposed to mean? I'm going to let her talk. Dahlia turns her gaze away from you and looks dreamily, no longingly out of the window. Her father was a fisherman, like most in the village. A few years ago he went out to sea, but never returned. His boat was washed ashore. Weeks later his colleagues told me that he had finally followed the call of the waves. You keep quiet for a moment. Deceased family members are always a sensitive subject. My sincere condolences. He seems calm. Oh, I somehow always knew that moment would come. I think my husband is in a better place now. And at some point I'll join him. You take a closer look at Dahlia's outfit. Judging by her behavior and clothes, you never would have taken her to be a fisherman's wife. I want more details about the case. What does your daughter look like? She's only 8 and the sweetest girl you can imagine. She's been missing without trace since last week. None of her schoolmates have seen her and no one knows where she might have gone. She hands you a photo. Look at this. This is my little munchkin. That is an ugly child. Jesus. Good heavens. Is this supposed to be a joke? Is that really the face of a child or a shoddy photo edit? Are you being filmed as part of a reality TV show? Bit of stomach acid, and the last bite of lunch slowly but surely make their way up into the back of your mouth. Jesus Christ, man. That is so mean. You throw up in the drawer of your desk. Swallowed. With narrow eyes, you swallow the bile and involuntarily pull a face. Dahlia continues to look at you. Hopefully she didn't notice your little mishap. Oh, she obviously didn't notice your little mishap. That was close and could have been unpleasant. I am desperate. Our eyes lock with yours. Don't you think there's something strange about your child? I mean, that's a little offensive, but taking your life into your hands, you ask the mother, don't you think there's something a bit Strange about your daughter. It's called puberty. Dahlia snarls. You should try it sometime. Also, this has nothing to do with the case. She looks at you contemptuously. Okay, woman, I am going to persist. Leave the evaluation to a professional. Your child's facial skin is more scaly than that of those poor souls you sometimes see on afternoon talk shows. Besides, she doesn't seem to have a nose. It's a rare genetic defect. I have no further questions. Okay. You mumble more to yourself than to her. Dahlia stretches her neck impersonally. No doubt she would like to take a look at your notebook. Your pen hovers above the notes you've taken. Missing daughter, duchy lady. That's it. You've worked with less. Jesus, man. Yeah, sure, I'll accept it. A missing persons case, nothing unusual. The conventional little girl runs away from home. After reading the first romance novel, usually they hide at the edge of the forest or in a library. Should be pretty straightforward. Before you can say anything, she drops a photo of the child and a roll of bills on your desk for your expenses. You nod slowly, trying not to drool down the front of your shirt. You haven't seen as much money in ages. You don't have much time to prepare. A quick search reveals that only one bus goes to Innsmouth, and only once a day. A pattern emerges in your research. The few news items related to this little coastal town are all about missing persons. In addition, you find some rather old-fashioned articles that praise the coastal town as a secret holiday destination. The best fish, untouched beach promenade, authentic fishing people are the recurring buzzwords. Dahlia has given you the address at which you're supposed to drop off the daughter as soon as you find her. She also wrote down the phone number on the child's photo. You take another look at the picture before you pack your things. This child is so ugly, bro. The next morning you travel by bus by hitchhiking. I'll take the bus. Boston, 22nd of September. Your journey begins at a busy bus station. There is supposed to be a bus line that departs from here to Innsmouth. Buses, you think to yourself, are not only environmentally friendly means of transportation, but also easy on your wallet. Sadly, the departure boards aren't much help. New York, Main, Rhode Island, no trace of Innsmouth as a destination. You wander around for a while until you notice a cleaner eating a sandwich at the side of one of the vending machines. Look around, talk to the cleaner, continue searching on your own. I'll talk to him. Excuse me, where can I find the bus to Inns? Without letting go of his sandwich, the cleaner points to an abandoned counter in the dingiest corner of the public bus station. Could be capable of. The man gives you a nod indicating that anything that can be said has indeed been said. You find that the counter is elaborately decorated with cobwebs. It's a bit early for Halloween preparations, but at least someone made an effort. At the moment nobody seems to be here. You press your face against the plastic window to peer into the room behind. Hello? Hello, is anyone there? I have to go to Innsmouth. No one there. Suddenly out of nowhere, a bus ticket appears on the counter. Might the trip be free? Yeah, that's not weird. Should you leave a payment? Leave a donation. A staunch defender of the law, it goes without saying that you pay. You put a few coins in the bowl underneath the foggy glass window. Hopefully they won't be stolen by the next passenger. Even if someone were sitting behind the counter, you wouldn't be able to see him. It's just too dark. You are distracted for a few seconds and suddenly there's some change on the counter. What's that amongst the coins? A small golden fishing hook. How strange. Interesting. Where is this bus hiding? In between the polished greyhounds and travelers stowing their luggage, saying goodbye and dropping tiredly into their seats, there's a kind of dumpster. A dumpster with windows and wheels. No, it's actually a bus. It's a bit on the rusty side, and even from a distance you sense a strange smell it emits. Is that sulfur? You're not convinced how this thing is supposed to arrive in its vicinity. Everything is noticeably quieter than at the other bus stops. The people getting on show no sign of emotion. Okay, wait. Ah shit, I accidentally skipped that. Nobody's trying to jump the queue here, instead the passengers move past the bus driver as a uniform speed, one after the other, shuffling up the creaking steps. Each two-seater bench is occupied by individuals, as if they want to make sure not to come into contact with their fellow passenger. The sign clearly says Innsmouth, no departure time, no stopovers, just Innsmouth. Okay. Undecided, you're standing on the stairs of the bus. Talk to the driver, I guess? You stop the passengers behind you, wait patiently. It's impossible to make eye contact with the driver. He stares rigidly at the steering wheel. After all, he seems to be focused driver. Excuse me, sir. No reaction. You look over your shoulder, and still the people in the line behind you remain calm. I'll show my ticket, I guess. You hand the driver the ticket, no reaction. At least you can't make out a reaction. The lighting is poor, and the shadow of his dusty driver's cap covers almost his entire face. You notice something strange on his neck, but you can't quite make out what it might be. You're standing in the door waiting for an okay, and not anything. The sulfur odor has increased, a queue has formed behind you. But no one is pushing or complaining. The people wait quietly and patiently. Yeah, just keep walking. You shuffle sideways through the center aisle. You don't remember the bus looking this long from the outside. You are surrounded by shabby two-seater benches, and some are already occupied. One traveler per row. The last bench is free. Looks like the upholstery torn in some places though. Or has it been slit open? You can see springs with sharp wire edges, and some sticky liquid seems to have leaked onto the floor. Why didn't you just sit down in one of the free rows? Here in the back, almost everything is occupied. Most of the passengers seem to have purposely sat down in the aisle seats, blocking off window seats. Maybe this is an opportunity to get a little closer to the common Innsmouth visitor. You gaze across rows of seats. Yeah, sit down with someone, it'll be fine. As a nonconformist, you join one of the passengers in a double seat. Since only one man was so considerate as to sit at the window, your options are limited anyway. As far as you can tell, the man is a haggard figure with barely any luggage. The hood of the grey jumper pulled far onto his face, the man looks out onto the street as if something very important is happening there that requires his attention. Is the seat taken? You ask politely. He turns his head and gives you a brief once-over. Without saying a word, he turns away again. Yeah, sure, sit down. Alright, that was a no either. You sit down and regret it instantly. The smell of sulfur is now overpowered by something else. Something that smells like it's been in the sun for too long. You're trying to catch a glimpse of what's under that hoodie. Does this person have a genetic defect? Is he malnourished? You're not sure exactly what the problem might be, but you're trying to stay professional. You awkwardly stare at the headrest of the person in front of you. I'm going to try to talk to him. This is the chance to get some inside information. Uh, I'm not going to talk about veganism. Look, the passenger overplayed the tourist. I'm going to look at him. Okay, Jesus Christ. He looks like a fish. Before you start talking to the man next to you, just like that, you take a closer look at him, which isn't so easy because he's constantly moving like a nervous insect. Luckily, he seems to be busy staring at the headrest of the seat in front of him. You're looking at him stealthily while he is distracted. Take a closer look at his face. Use this opportunity to thoroughly study the specimen of an Innsmouth traveler. The furrows around his mouth, the scaly surfaces of his cheeks, deep skin folds where the neck begin covered by a wet film. You could swear there he turns to you. His glassy eyes scrutinize you. He says your stomach ramps up. Uncomfortable to be caught staring. You've got something on your face. You're tapping your cheek, you have something there. The person sitting next to you lifts his hands, milky white hands, and wipes his face. Gone. You lie meekly and try it with an insecure smile. The man from Innsmouth does the same, you think. During your conversation, you must have missed it. His hand, it's milky white and slightly green at the fingertips. A thin flap of skin seems to stretch between the fingers. This is not normal. Your subconscious whispers to you. The sight causes you to feel disgust. Pity. I feel pity. No doubt an unfortunate medical curiosity. The poor bastard must have led a difficult life with his chubby hands. You try not to betray any feelings of panic after all. It seems like you might be slowly approaching your destination. The bus leaves the country road and turns off a wooden sign that says Innsmouth. In red flaky letters, the journey continues rather bumpily along narrow dirt road littered with numerous potholes. In the distance, some houses are already visible, seagulls circling the roofs of the outermost edge of the city. Slowly, all passengers take the bags out from under the seats and get ready. Curious, you look through the front window, the side window. Let's look through the side window. That's odd. The bus passes by a huge, what is this? A scrapyard? Parking lot? Why would something like this be here, right outside the city? You pass another wooden sign whose half-built writing advertises the Innsmouth Park and ride area. A lot of cars look like they've been sitting here for years, and sand covers them of the bonnets of the bonnets and windscreens. Sand covers some of the bonnets and windscreens. Jesus Christ. The front door of the bus opens with a squeak, and you join the monotonous line of locals stepping out of the bus as if in a daze. Almost walking in step, you all get closer to the exit. As you walk down the steps, you have to protect your eyes from the sunlight. Turns out the windows of the bus were tinted. The other passengers shuffle off. Finally, Innsmouth. You examine your surroundings while you stretch your legs, trying to unwind from the stressful journey. No artist could have adequately captured the serenity and beauty of this place. Clear blue sky lights up the town square, which is paved with bright limestone and surrounded by neo-colonial buildings reminiscent of 19th century New England. A fresh sea breeze, crying seagulls, and locals going about their business. In the center of the square, water trickles from a fountain. As you stretch your limbs and breathe in the clean air, you're suddenly startled by the water feature right in front of you. The fountain is an enormous fish-like brass creature. An open jaw lined with shark-like fangs spouts brackish water down its massive, inhumanly contorted body. As if it wasn't enough, there appears to be human bodies squirming underneath its massive claws. Their faces are as contorted as yours is right now. How long have you been standing here? Eyes wide open in shock, you feel utterly paralyzed. You start to scan town square and notice more and more disturbing details. On every corner you spot ornamental statues and reliefs of fish. But these are not your classic harmless kind of fish. These are pagan symbols and grimaces of supernatural creatures from the darkest crevices of the deep sea. The surrounding houses you can see faces pressed against the windows. All the locals appear to be watching you. You suddenly start to think that the cries of the seagulls sound particularly human-like. They sound like humans crying out in pain. What happened to the idyllic scene from a few moments ago? What the... Is that supposed to be a fish? Welcome to Innsmouth. Turn around. Welcome to Innsmouth, how nice of you to visit. A small elderly woman waves at you from afar. She beams at you as if you were her long-lost grandchild. She seems very different to the boors you've met so far on the bus into town. A squealing shakes you out of your nightmarish panic. It's good to have you here. I've noticed you're very taken by our local fountain. It was built in 1704 by Abdul Necrotis. Okay. Favorite artist and friend of Charles Dexter Tillinghast, the founder of Innsmouth. The central figure was a present and it was supposed to commemorate their travels together. The Cairo, you clearly see the Egyptian influences in Necrotis' work here. And in Necrotis' work here and here. She points wildly in every direction and here, but I'm sure you've already noticed this yourself. You look like someone who knows his way around art. She says with a wild smile. You're still in shock. She beams at you. Who the hell are you? Of course, I'm an art historian. I'm an art historian, of course. She enthusiastically starts clapping and squealing. A small, plump person in a garish costume finishes off her sentences with a delighted chuckle. Oh, I noticed that at once. How rude of me. I haven't even introduced myself. My name is Muriel Pooping Place. Muriel Pooping Place. I'm the director of the Parks Commission, Chief Tourism Officer and head of the Welcoming Committee. Ta-da! Behind Muriel, there's a ramshackle wooden information stand lovingly decorated with balloons. A colorful painted sign reads, Welcome to Innsmouth. Muriel tiptoes over her information stand and picks up a whole load of flyers and leaflets from the rickety display cases. She looks down at the Alda paper in her arms, that is definitely a typo, and briefly shrieks with laughter. My goodness, why don't you take the city map with you to begin with? Useful. You take the map and put it into your coat pocket. Would you like to find out more about our wonderful town, which has been awarded the East Coast Stunning Town Award for several years in a row? And would you? Actually, I'm looking for someone. Here I am. The small plump woman starts giggling. Innsmouth welcomes you warmly. You're looking for someone. It's not that uncommon for two lonely hearts to find one another in a romantic place. Lady, the someone is 8. Muriel winks at you. Oh, like that. Mention the missing girl. You see, I'm looking for this girl. It's always about a girl, isn't it? Tabitha Marsh, 8 years old, her mother asked me to take on the case. You take out the photo and Muriel immediately rips it out of your hand. Oh, what a cutie, but I'm sorry to say I've not heard anything about missing her. How awful, this sort of thing doesn't happen in Innsmouth. Perhaps you can have a look around at the beach, on the playground. There are a lot of kids around there, I'm sure that's where the little one will be. With an unnaturally wide grin, she hands you back the photo, turns around quickly and makes her way over across to another tourist family. Yeah, that's not weird. You head further into the town along the cobbled road, the direction of the coast. Not long ago the sun was bright in the sky, but already the first wafts of mist are creeping into the streets. The air feels thicker and the sun can no longer penetrate the fog. Time to think about where you want to go. You slow down, you lean the briefcase against the wall and start pacing up and down the quiet alleyway. You've got an important choice to make right now. The city center is in the north. Even from afar you can see the outlines of the old and ornately decorated buildings in the main town square. Here you should find the police station, the main shopping street, and of course the town hall. A coastal town, Innsmouth also has a lot of harbor. From your research, you found out that this is a bustling area with dreamy beach. You expect there to be mostly tourists. According to your research, the only hotel in the town is the Gilman Hotel. It's located in the old town. Think about checking in. You could do with freshening up and getting rid of that bus smell that is still clinging to your clothes. Just as you are about to set off, your heart leaps into your throat. You've forgotten your briefcase. This has never happened to you. Usually take good care of the little you possess. There's nothing you can do about this now. You'll have to wait until your return journey to find out whether someone has handed it in at the lost and found. Still, you could swear that the briefcase was already gone when you got off the bus. You decide on the city center, the Gilman Hotel, the harbor. Let's go to the harbor first. The Innsmouth Harbor is signposted much better than the local hospital. You wonder if a hospital is even needed here. It's a half-hour walk. A mile-long carpet of cobblestones is now ahead of you. Traffic in Boston is more hectic, but at least they have heard of asphalt before. As you keep walking, there are fewer and fewer residential buildings along your path in their stead. There are now warehouses that must be fish markets due to the smell. You can also hear the occasional metallic clanking from nearby workshops. People in grey raincoats are walking towards you. They're probably fishermen who have some errands to run. Now and again, in that split second when you pass one another, you catch a glimpse of the faces hidden under the hoods. Puffy eyes that look at you suspiciously, although there are a few clouds in the sky. There's no chance of rain as far as you can tell. Why are they all wrapped up like that? You wonder if they have a sixth sense for approaching storms. The sound of the rhythmic blows of a hammer nearby tears you away from these thoughts. It would be interesting to watch the work in a shipyard, but little Tabitha is unlikely to be here to play. From a distance you can already see the masts of the boats which rise up into the sky like a row of spears. You walk along a small street at a quay with the harbour basin just behind it. Breathe in the sea breeze, look around. The view of the harbor is splendid, boats of all shapes and sizes are coming and going. Nets are being emptied out, the fish seem to be endlessly splashing into the huge freezer boxes. Local trades are being sealed with handshakes. At the end of the white headland, a huge lighthouse watches majestically over the bay. The ideal postcard motive if it weren't for the people. You only know the fishermen from the movies, and you have to admit that you have a certain prejudices. These include they have weather-beaten skin and the captains always have well-groomed beards. They are either strong, silent types or hazard-hard-drinking lads who sing filthy sea shanties. But these creatures in front of you are neither majestic nor leery. They move around more like tragic hunchbacks you'd expect to see in French cathedrals. A few yards to the right, there's a fork in the road, a road sign pointing further north. Its inscription reads Innsmouth Paradise Beach. In far distance, you can see a building that looks like a church. Hang on, a church? On the coast? How eccentric. You go to the beach, to the church, to the lighthouse. Decisions. I'm going to the church. The church is located on a hill overlooking the harbor. You're immediately drawn towards it. You stroll along the docks towards the cliffs. You take in the pleasant sea breeze and the hustle and bustle of the ships. Your original mission pops into your mind. Original mission pops into your mind. This place is so relaxing, it's just too easy to forget about the little girl. Out of the corner of your eye, you can see 3 fishermen whose boat has just moored. They are not working, in fact they are not doing anything. They're just standing there, staring at you. A feeling of serenity is slowly overtaken by anxiety. What are you looking at me for? You shout across them, giving them an aggressive look. You bet these little sea oafs have never before come across a tough city type such as yourself. One of the 3 still observes you with mild interest, the others are already looking at their nets. After a few yards, you turn around again, they're all gone. The crew must have disappeared below deck in their little boat. What a strange bunch. Suddenly it's utterly plausible to you that people in this town can disappear just like that. A little closer to the church building. Now aren't you relieved to find that there are a few dozen people outside its gates. And they're not the usual creepy Innsmouth kind. The group are gesticulating and discussing something in a very animated manner. Normal people. As you reach the courtyard, you're able to assess the situation a little better. 2 groups with about the same number of people are confronting one another, surrounded by a few more reserved onlookers. 2 shouty people who appear to be representatives of the 2 camps are facing each other. A bronze plaque is displayed above the gates to the entrance. Engraved on it, Esoteric Order of Dragon. I'll join the crowd. Davy Jones? You walk up to the crowd. You peek over the shoulders of the stocky figures in front of you who are listening to the 2 men and occasionally nod or mumble words of dissent. One of the 2 squabblers is a weather-beaten man with bulging eyes, just about to launch into a finale of his speech. And therefore, Dagon is the one god. Oh, it's Dagon, not Dragon. That makes more sense. The one god who created us in his own image. And his only son is Obed Marsh, who came to Earth as man. And he is Dagon himself, because we... No. his counterpart interrupts. He's a bearded professor type, dressed in a grey wool sweater, who highlights every word with an aggressive jab of the pipe in his hand. Dagon is the creator of the world, but he's above us. He has no children or nothing, even close to this kind of thing. Even saying that is heresy. It's the writing of his prophet, Abdul al-Hazret. With a scrunched up face and a high-pitched voice, the sailor repeats these last words. Abdul al-Hazret. What a load of horse dung. The crowd is now on fire, their fists are raised and there's a cracking tension among the onlookers. Oh yeah, and the whole Obet Marsh was born by immaculate conception when Marianne Marsh was bathing in the sea. Story, what do you call that? She was blessed there to be received, Obed, and you know it. The bug-eyed sailor shouts and no longer trying to contain his anger. You know it! He adds hissing quietly. The ongoing murmurs of the crowd is occasionally drowned out by the heavy breathing of the two main speakers. The crowd up in arms enter the church, get involved. I'm going to just enter the church. Why not? You're already here after all. Almost immediately, two grumpy-looking men clothed like fishermen stand in your way, preventing you from entering the church. They seem to have competition going as for who can give the most sinister look. What now? I need to go in there. Leave the churchyard. I need to go in there, you murmur, a little intimidated. I don't think so, scoffs the younger of the two. Yeah, I don't think you need to go in there. This is only for the children of Dagon, the older one grunts. Okay, well, I'll leave. You decide to leave. Other than religious fanatics, the Church of Dagon does not seem to have much else to offer. And there are enough. Whatever that's it, I'm not going to go back. You go to the beach, to the lighthouse. Let's go to the beach. Okay, that's the chapter. Okay, I think I'm going to cut it off there. I have no idea if this is gonna like even be a viewable video, or like if this is gonna be popular at all. I'm going to cut this down. Probably post it as like a longer video and just generally see if that works, I guess. If people enjoy this, I'll continue recording it, but for now I think I'll just stop here. Because I'm getting a little tired from speaking constantly.